Hey everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Homesteader Mike here with Hills and Haulers Homesteading and Prepping, and I'm out here getting the chickens fed for the evening. I just went ahead and started feeding them in the evenings as well. So I was started off with 12 on, 12 off, but we decided we'd go ahead and change it and just start feeding them in the evenings because they just seem so freaking hungry. They haven't come and cut the hay yet. I'm not going to press the issue, but I'm going to have to come out with the mower and cut all that tomorrow so we can move them forward because they're at the very end. I lost one due to the heat. I got one who looks like he might be lamed up from the heat. And he's just sitting there in the corner, and I don't know if he's gonna make it or not, but it was pretty daggone warm. Then we woke up this morning, it's 57 degrees here, and it didn't get out of the mid-70s today. It's been a beautiful day. I actually got my daggone head burnt because, you know, dumb. They talked about the feds raising the interest rates, and I mentioned that in the last video there, how they raised it from where they were going to raise it 50 basis points, they raised it up 75 basis points. And that's like a 0.5% to 0.75%, so 0.50 to 0.75. And they raised it up, and you know, about 10 days ago, the 30-year mortgage rate was about 5.5%. And I think like about 10 or 12 days ago is when I seen it. And now it's up over 6%. So I think 6.28 was the one that I just seen. And the article that I was reading about that was talking about the reason that the feds did that. The reason they decided to start raising it more is because they want Americans to stop spending so much money to help decrease inflation. So by the policies that these administrations, not just one, administrations, the feds, and all these other people who elect to office, by their decisions and by their practice, we're now expected to cut back on our spending to help fix the problem that they created. Now, I don't see them cutting back on their own spending. All I see is more taxation, piss poor representation, and just a bad situation all the way around. So, you know, they're touting that the banks, now that interest rates are going up, that they want you to put your money in savings accounts because savings accounts will start paying it, you know, your interest back. So what is it, like 0.5% right now? That, you know, big news, good news, you know, you start putting your money back in savings account, they're going to raise it up to 1%. The working person has no chance in this country. You really don't. You work to pay taxes, half your retirement, you're taxed on your retirement and your paycheck, you're taxed on your retirement when you draw from it when you retire, depending on how you do it. Anyways, you're gonna get taxed on it anyways, every time that you spend it. So, you know, it's just a mess all the way around. Well, what brought that up today, yeah, there's people struggling. People are always struggling. There's just no doubt about that. But this is getting to the point now, diesel, now I just spent $70 to fill up 2 5-gallon cans the other day. And I actually put 5.5 gallons in each one. So it's like $69 and change. I think it was $5.99 a gallon. Went by that same gas station today, $6.19 a gallon for diesel. Nothing's changed. Prices keep going up. Cost of living, our wages, they don't go up. So we have to make decisions. We can be completely irresponsible. Now, I don't want people to think this isn't a video, this isn't me saying that we're having to sacrifice, that we're so spoiled that this is affecting us in such a bad way that we can never live the life that we were living before. I'm just saying, good, responsible people and fiscally responsible people who take care of their finances and stuff, we're making changes, we're making cuts, we're doing what we can do to make that dollar stretch a little bit more, just like anybody else would. So no, I'm not sitting here telling you that we're hurting. I'm not saying that we're going to go hungry, because we're not. I'm just saying that we are having to adjust our lives. We are having to make cutbacks. We are having to make adjustments because of the decisions and the policies that they have made, but yet they're continuing to spend, what is it, every human being now in the United States is already more than $1 million in debt. So yeah, that's how much we owe the government. And that's my kids. My kids right now, 4-year-old and 7-year-old, both each owe the government about $1 million now because of their spending. So they're not reining in spending. They're not doing anything to help fix the problem. But the Fed wants us to stop spending so much money to help get a lot of that money out of the economy, out of the circulating economy, to help cut back on this recession. But yet they're the ones printing money left and right. So anyways, all that said, I went today to the sawmill. Local guy's got a sawmill. And I talked to him, and I wanted to get some slabs that he'd cut, had stacked up there. And I said, hey, what do you do with those? He said, I give them away, sell them for firewood, whatever. And I said, all right, so how much you charge me for firewood? He said, well, if I use my tractor to load them for you, he said, he's got a big tractor with a big grapple on it. He said, $20, I'll load your trailer up. I got a 14-foot dump trailer. I said, hey, I'll be over 20 bucks. I don't have time to come and start dropping trees. It's a little late in the season right now to be dropping trees because they're just not going to dry out by then. And by the time I cut them, limb them, drag them, chip up the limbs, cut them to size, split them, it's already going to be fall, and we're probably already going to be using wood to heat the house with. So that's why I decided to go that route. Well, he and I got to talking, and he's a good guy. I love him to death. And we got talking about stuff, and he was telling me that, years ago he quit his job. He said, I just got so tired of it, Mike. He said, I couldn't stand it. He said, all I wanted to do, he said, leave my job, and he said, live a life of subsistence farming. Tongue twister. He said, raise my own animals, raise my own food, do what I can do, and just live like that. And man after my own heart. And so in the meantime, of course, he got bored shortly thereafter. He's one of those guys, he can't sit still. So he got into sawmilling and woodwork and stuff like that. So he does that pretty much to keep him busy, not so much as an income. But he asked me, we were talking about, us raising the chickens and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, he said, I used to raise them chickens. He said, but I haven't, he said, with the business now, he said, I just haven't had a chance to do it in a couple of years. He said, I sure do miss them. And he goes, I like to trade. He goes, what do you got to trade? And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, for these slabs. He said, all this lumber. He said, he said, I told you $20 if I loaded it. He said, but what do you got to trade? And I mean, he gave me a great pile. This is all hardwood, and there's big logs in there. 2 of them actually rolled down over the hill. But I mean, this is a good pile of slab. And he told me, he said, just come back. And he said, I'll load you up again. He said, you can have all you want. He said, but I'll tell you what. He said, how many chickens you got at your house? And I'm like, left over from the last run we did? He said, yeah. He said, how many you got in the freezer? I said, I don't know, how many you want? He goes, I'll tell you what. He said, how much you sell them for? I said, well, I don't sell them. I said, we raise them together with friends. It's kind of a cost share type of thing with them. And I said, but when we had the homestead business a couple years ago, for the very short period of time, I said we were selling them for $5 a pound. And I said, that was the going rate around here. I said people were paying $30 for organic chickens in Morgantown to feed their dogs, and that come from the poultry sciences professor down at WVU. And he said, yeah, he said, my family had an organic farm in Pennsylvania. He said, we were actually coming to Morgantown, the farmer's market, selling organic raised chickens, or, pasture raised chickens. He said, people were spending $30 for a chicken to feed their dogs. And I'm going, you're kidding me. So, and I talked to some other folks around, and they said $5 a pound is what they would go for. So that's what we did. And so of course that was very short-lived because the demand was huge, but then when it come out to be the cost of the liability insurance and everything like that, we said forget it. So we just do kind of a cost share type of thing. He said, and I said, if I was to sell them today, I said, I would just tell you $20 a chicken. I said, but you know what? I said, honestly and truly, 15. I said, that would probably be the better bet right there. I said, because if I break down the cost of each bird, cost to feed, fuel, and I don't even really worry about my time so much on it because I enjoy doing it. But he said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, and I had some other lumber that I was going to get, some sawn lumber. He said, I'll trade you 5 chickens for as much slab firewood as you want. And he said, these 10-foot 4x4s and these 14-foot 1x6s. And I said, really? I said, you'll do that? He said, yeah. He said, I'll do that. He said, I'll do that over cash any day. So that brings me to, and after that long story, which is very long and drawn out, that brings me to the barter and trade system. And I've never been one on that. That's like, you know, a lot of people talk about they, you know, trade guns and stuff all the time. I've traded 2 guns in my entire life, and that was only because I didn't like the ones, well, I didn't like the one that I had, and the other one that I had won, it was just, I'd already had one. I already had one, so I didn't need 2. So I traded it for something else that I didn't have, and that's how that went. But, you know, barter and trade and stuff like that in this economy, they're not going to tax you on what they don't know that you're trading. You know, that's like even you know, cash business and stuff like that with individuals. You know, they say cash is king, but in this kind of situation, in this kind of environment, and in this economy, that may be the better route to go. So, and I don't mind sharing food. You know what I mean? I don't, because good Lord blessed us with the land to do it, and the ability to do it, and the knowledge to do it. And so, you know, we share a little bit here and there, trade a little bit here and there, a little cost share here and there, and everybody comes out pretty even in the end, and that's the way it works out. So I'm not saying you need to start bartering and trading. I'm just saying that is an option in the future. But you know, the Fed's wanting you to stop spending your money that you work for, because they don't want all of your money in the economy that they flooded by printing all the money. And our politicians want you to rein in your spending so they don't have to rein theirs in. So I'll leave it at that. I don't need SUVs and suits and sunglasses coming up my driveway. Wouldn't surprise me if it already hadn't happened. So, but there you go. So think twice this year before you vote. If you're looking at party lines to vote on, I take the approach that I did. And I truly feel that at this point, with everything that I've witnessed and we witnessed in the last couple years, and just with the downfall of society, that I believe I'm more intelligent and have evolved past left or right. So I've been independent for several years now, officially, you know, on paper. But I'm just at this point, I don't know who I would vote for anymore. And it sure as heck wouldn't be the left side. And I'm really debating on the right side at this point. So I don't know which way to go. Maybe I just start writing none of the above in there and go with it from that. But go with it from there, because they don't have your best interest at heart. They don't have your best interest in mind, and their actions have spoken very loudly. So you think what you want, you say what you want. I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm going to tell you that personally, I've evolved past left or right. I'm above that kind of level. So keep working to starve that system, folks, because that system's working awful hard to starve you. Keep working towards self-sufficiency, self-reliance. Plant some vegetables this year. Put some tomato plants in some buckets. Do some green beans, do some peppers, do something. Get that stuff going. Try to be more self-sufficient, self-reliant. Try to produce as much of your own food as you possibly can. Reach out to friends and neighbors who might have the land to do that kind of stuff that they are not doing, or that you want to kind of work with them and expand. Get that barter trade system in place. Work together so we can feed ourselves and not depend on a broken system. Take care. God bless, and keep prepping.